Welcome back to another episode of One Build for All game modes. Today we're gonna cover Warrior, and in particular we're gonna take a look at Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker is really strong. This build is just one build that you can use in every single game mode. You can use it in PvE, in a group. You can use it in solo queue. You can use it in World vs. World in a Zerg. You can use it in World vs. World Roaming. You can use it even in PvP. It's really strong. Today we're gonna cover this build, and with the same gear you can actually achieve 90 to 95% of every single meta build in those game modes, and you don't have to swap a thing. I will explain how it works and make some small adjustment to traits and utility skills for the game mode. This is not a build that is perfectly meta in every game mode, so this is a big disclaimer here, but it's very close to it. So especially if you want to master a single class, single elite spec, a single build for all the game modes, this is the video for you. Be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out a thing. As always, special shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now let's jump straight in. So let's start with the PvE gear, or the gear in general, because that's always the same gear. So you would use full Berserker gear with Superior Rhythm of the Scholar. If you can afford infusions, you would go for power infusions. Then for weapons, you would use Spear and Dagger X. The weapons again would be full Berserker, but the trinkets would be full Dragon. Of course you can go full Marauder there or full Berserker as well. It's just the best setup for PvE, and you can use it in World vs. World as well. If you want to go more tanky, you can even go for full Marauder. Everything works here, just use something like this, what I just said. Link to the build is also in the description below, or to all the builds that I show here. In a group scenario, you would use Relic of the Claw. It's just the best one in terms of damage. If you can't have access to the Claw Relic, you would go with Thief Relic. Let's now quickly cover the consumables that are actually worthwhile using on every single variant of this build. So for food, you would go with Peppercorn Crusted Sweet Steaks. Just the best option because you get power and ferocity, and minus 10% incoming damage is really, really good, especially in solo builds or for roaming and stuff. And if you can't afford the Ascended version, that's not that much of a problem. You can go for Bowl of Sweet and Spicy Butternut Squash Soup. Same stats, just lose the 10% damage reduction. For utility consumables, I would always go with Superior Sharpening Stones or something that gives similar amounts of stats. By the way, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. But now to the traits. For the traits, as a group scenario player, you would go with Strength, Arms, and Spellbreaker. In Strength, you get just a lot of damage and damage buffs. Get some endurance back, you get more vitality, you get more crit chance, and just more damage when you use a burst skill. It's really, really strong. Then you have Arms, that's the bread and butter of this build in a group scenario, because you get some more crit chance, that helps. But most important, you get just some passive ferocity while you cast your signets, really, really strong. And you get more crit chance on Defiant foes. And that's the important one here, you get more attack speed with the one-handed weapon that you can also wield in the offhand, and just some passive healing. This is why you mostly stay on the dagger, because the dagger is insane here. Just a lot of damage passively in melee range. It's really, really easy to play. Have a low intensity build about this build as well. It's really, really strong. You would only swap to your spear if you need ranged attacks and CC. And then your Spellbreaker, just some more damage, and just some passive more damage on the target. So overall, just more damage on this, and some boom removal when you CC your enemy. So keep that in mind. But overall, just a lot of damage. For utility skills, you would use, of course, Kick as a damage buff and also some CC that procs all your traits. Then Signet of Fury for some passive precision that you can activate to get some more ferocity as well. The Adrenaline, Signet of Might, more power, would typically not activate that one. And then you have Signet of Rage, just very good to keep the Signet of Ferocity up. And for healing, I would use Healing Signet. You can of course also swap to other ones if you really want to, but that's obviously the best passive healing, as you are in a group. Regarding your weapon skills, of course you have crazy damage in the Whirling Axe in your dual strike. Your 3 skill here is just a Daze. Use that to upkeep your attacker's insight buff, and use the Aura Slicer if necessary for leap. But typically I would just spam the auto attack very much, and only swap to the ranged weapon, which is your spear, if you need range or CC. So damage on the auto attack and the 2 skill and the 4 skill. The 3 skill is some nice CC, and the 5 skill is an evade and some really nice CC as well. Keep that in mind. But for the most part, you would stay on dagger and use your wound removal and CC skills, and use your burst skills of course, and use your full counter if you actually can proc it when the enemy is attacking you. So overall, really easy. So for the rotation, you would pre-stack your signets, so try to get the signet buffs to 5 already before the fight starts, and then you engage the fight and use Kick, use your X4. Try to use as many of the CC skills as you can to get the attacker's insights buff up to 5. So that would be Dagger 3, like a F1 and then the X5, and after that you just auto attack. If the boss, for instance, would hit you, you could also use full counter to get another proc of the attacker's inside, but after that you just use your auto attack and the weapon skills whenever they come off cooldown. You can use the Signet of Fury whenever you are about to cast your X5, for example, to get some very nice ferocity buff. So there are a lot of potential things to optimize, but for the most part you just spam your skills. So your F1, your 3, your 4 and your 5 of cooldown, and always use the kick when the physical and the claw buff are about to run out. It's very straightforward. Of course, try to upkeep your Signet buffs, but like I said, it's not, you will get 37k or even higher numbers if you do that perfectly. And if you don't want to spam as many buttons, you just decrease the amount of buttons that you press here by a little bit, and you will still have very high numbers. Like I said, 27k with just the auto attack. It's really, really good. So for the solo Spellbreaker build, you use the same gear that I just showed. You would just swap your Relic to Relic of Sakiros because you want to get some passive healing. That's really, really strong. And you would swap to Frailty Sigil on your weapons. So Force would stay, but you would go for Frailty Sigil. Of course, if you don't want to min-max here, you can of course go for the same sigils as well. So for Impact Sigil and Air, it doesn't matter too much. But it's just helping you a little bit with more damage if you want to optimize a bit more. For the traits, you would go very similar. You would just take this time Forceful Greatsword to get some might. Other than that, it would stay the same. And in arms, you would now take Opportunist for some fury and the same other traits. And in Spellbreaker, you would use the same traits again, just for more damage. Overall, very similar. The only thing that you would adjust as well would be you need to go for the Great Justice to keep up Might and Fury. And you would go for Defiance Stance for the most part, just because you're solo. Sometimes you need a panic button and that just converts all incoming damage for the next 4 seconds into healing. Really strong. You can of course also go for Healing Signet or any other heal that you need. For example, Mending can be good if you need Conduit Lenses and just get some more damage uptime as well. But overall, you stay with these 3 skills that are already in the PvE group play. So now I swapped to my World vs. World character, if you're wondering. For World vs. World, you would use, of course, the same gear. That's what the build is made for. However, you would swap your offhand to a staff. So you would run a staff for roaming with Cleansing and Energy Sigil. It's just the best option and you need some more sustain. And on your spear, you would go with Hydromancy and Vision if you want to go for the most optimized version for roaming. But you can, of course, like I said, stay with the same sigils if you only have 1 spear. But the staff is actually quite important because it's your sustain tool. So try to get a staff for world roaming. For your Relic, I would go with Relic of the Midnight King just for some nice Fury access. It's really good in World vs. World, just gets you some nice Might and Fury. It helps a lot because you have a lot of CC in the kit. For the Consumables, we would use the same that I already mentioned. And for traits, you would go with Defense, Discipline, and Spellbreaker. The traits change a bit, but the playstyle stays similar. And you get some nice protection, you get some passive healing here, and you get some damage reduction while you have resolution. And you get some nice weakness application to enemies, just helps with the more damage and also decreases your damage you take. Then your dodge roll gives you resistance, that's really, really good in World vs. World, so you can't get blinded that easily. Then you get some cleansing on your burst skills and just some more adrenaline. You get faster weapon swap and adrenaline weapon swapping and some might. Your burst skills deal more damage, gives swiftness, and you get a portion of your adrenaline back. You get more damage per boon on your foe, that helps a lot to just kill them faster, and you move faster with melee weapons, so that's really helpful. So the staff actually lets you move out of the sticky situations even more, and you remove immobilizes with your movement skills. So that would be your 2 skill, your 3 skill, and even your Bull's Charge. And then we have Spellbreaker. We changed traits here to just get some protection uptime, and you remove boons again, and you get some adrenaline when you remove boons, which will be always the case when you CC, so that's actually a nice thing here, and that procs of course the attacker's inside, and of course Mage Band Tether again. Here it's in World vs. World, in roaming it's really good because it not only gives you might and reveals the enemy and gives more damage against the target, but it will also pull them if they move out of the range. So you can actually, as a melee build or somewhat melee build, actually keep them close to you. For your skills, you would now run with Staff, like I said. Use the Healing of Staff, the 2-3 skill. The 3 skill is also some nice disengage. And the 4 skill you can also use to get some pulse going. Keep in mind, you can use that with About Face to actually, even though you can't retarget the skill, you can actually use About Face, so switching the look direction of your character to actually get the pull anyway. So to run away and turn around in the last second, you can actually pull someone 180 degrees behind you. Then you have Bullet Catcher, just some nice block and some healing. Spear of course stays the same. For healing, I would go with Mending just for Condy Cleanse and some nice healing, very low cooldown as well. Then Shake It Off for Condy Cleanse and also Stun Break. Then Bull's Charge, extremely strong evade and also gets you out of sticky situations, but also very nice engage tool because it knocks the enemy down if it hits, and it's very good setup for the spear skill. And then you have Balance Stance, it's just very, very strong for immunity to critical hits and also pulses stability and swiftness, so that's really nice. And it's a stun break. And then you have Rampage, just the button that you press if you want to kill the enemy, because you can CC chain them and hit a lot of CC skills and just hit very hard. For the Zerg build, you would swap your offhand weapon again. This time you would go with Sword X. You can also run Greatsword with the same sigils, but I really like the repositioning tool of the sword, which now uses Hydromancy sigil and Fire sigil on the X. The spear would run Bloodlust sigil and Nullification. If you want to min-max, of course you can stay with the same sigils that you had before. However, I would highly recommend to go for a different relic. I would go for a Relic of the Thief just for some more passive damage as well. Like I said, the stats will stay the same. For the traits, however, you would swap again a little bit. So you would run Strength, Discipline and Spellbreaker this time. Just the same traits in Strength that you had before. Really nice, just more damage. Discipline gives you faster weapon swap, movement speed increase, more damage. And again, Burst Mastery to just get some more adrenaline back and some more swiftness. And then you use Spellbreaker, but this time you're really going hard on the wound removal. So you get more damage with just more crit damage. You get wound removal, which is unblockable damage on the enemies, which is obviously very good in a Zerg. And then removing a boon from a foe causes all nearby foes to lose an additional boon. This is really good because this is just a lot of boon removal in a Zerg, and you get a lot of adrenaline from that and deal unblockable damage. So keep that in mind, it's really, really good. This will also very easily keep up your attacker's insight. And then for your skills, like I said, spear is the same, but you would use sword for the repositioning tool here. You can of course use the auto attack to do some nice power damage and the 3 skill, but typically you use it for the offhand, which is some nice quickness access, and the 5 skills just some very hard hitting, very nice world finisher and movement speed increase. It's very good to cleave enemies in a Zerg melee scenario. And then you have, of course, Defiant Stance for a panic button, just keeps you alive for the next 4 seconds for sure. And then you have Signet of Might for just very easy access to unblockable. Unblockable in Guild Wars 2 means not only that skills cannot be blocked, but they can't be reflected or deflected, which is really good for your spear skills. So keep that in mind. If you want to kill an enemy, you just use this and you can't be reflected on your very hard-hitting spear skills, for example the Harrier's Toss. Then you use Break Enchantments for some really crazy boon removal and just unblockable damage as well. Keep that in mind. Spam that in melee range. And then you have Balance Stance just for the crit immunity again and just some nice stability and stun break access. Then, of course, in World vs. World, it's really nice to have Battle Standard, not for the boons, but for the finisher and revive for allies. It's really, really good. So you can finish enemies, downed enemies, and you can resurrect allies. It's really, really good, but you have to hit, of course, and use it in the correct moment. And then lastly, we have the PvP version of the build. So you use obviously different gear here, but you can have it for free. You would use Berserker gear with Midnight Relic, with Scholar Rune, just the same as in World vs. World. You would use Spear and Staff again. On your Staff, you would Energy and Cleansing, just for the defensive weapon set. And on your Spear, you would use Intelligence Sigil with Battle, just the aggressive options here, because you want to burst them when you swap to Spear. For your traits, you would go with Strength, Discipline, and Spellbreaker. In Strength, you take again the same traits here, just Mortality, some damage increase, and this time you take Aggressive Onslaught, because it means every time you disable an enemy on a quarter of a second ICT, you actually give Quickness and Might, just to help killing them faster, and you get movement speed increase while you have Quickness. It's really good. Then you have Discipline, just again faster weapon swap. You remove again your Immobilize when you use a movement skill, and you get more movement speed on melee weapons and just more damage. Get more damage against boons, and again Burst Mastery, same thing. But in Spellbreaker you are, so to say, mixing a bit between the roaming version and the Zerg version of World vs. World, so you're taking more damage. You take the boon removal on CC, so that means that you CC, remove a boon, and then you deal more damage and get adrenaline. So that's the synergy between those traits, and you have a lot of CC in PvE as well. And then you have Mage Band Tethered just because of the pull and the just very nice damage increase, and you're just a very good duelist or teamfight DPS as well. Weapon skills, it stays the same, I already explained them. For healing skill, you would go with Mending for the Condy Cleanse and also for the damage buff. Again, Bull's Charge, extremely strong. just a repositioning tool that also CCs. And if it hits, you probably kill the enemy after that if they don't have a stun break. Shake it off, very careful, use it only if you need a stun break and conic lens. It's really important that you don't use that too easily because you don't have that many conic lenses. And then you have Dolyak Signet for a very nice way of healing, stability and stun break. And passively, if you don't use it, you actually get minus 10% incoming damage, so it's actually quite tanky as well. And then of course Rampage, really strong, just a lot of CC skills in there, and the 3 skill also helps to reposition as well, and together with the 5 skill. So overall, really good kit. And that's it for the build. You can see in the background it's really fun to play. It plays very well in all the game modes that I mentioned, and it's very easy to learn and stick to this build and play it in every single game mode, succeed with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Be sure to check out my other one build for all videos for all the other classes. Link is in the description, or you can see it here on screen. Again, special shout out to all my supporters on WvW and Patreon. And now, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.